Hey runners, welcome back to the Stretch and Stability series. We're now on episode 23, so things are really heating up. And just remember, if things are too challenging for you, there are regressions available, and there's nothing wrong with doing the easier variation. Okay, let's dive into it. We're going into our core section. This is the hardest core section in the series, so don't worry if it is a challenge, and do just take rest points if you need to at any point. So we're going to be going through a sequence. It's a non-stop sequence where we're going to be going through variations of the planks. So we're going to be in a side plank, reverse plank, and a full high plank. So we'll just go straight into it. So we're going to be starting in the side plank now, as opposed to previously in the series where we're in a bent elbow position. We're now going to try and go with a straight arm. So coming into the side plank, we're just going to have the shoulder over the wrist. And then again, we can have one foot behind the other. So in this case, the left foot is behind the right foot. And then I want to think about pushing the floor away from me, driving the hips up and keeping the activation through the glutes. Okay, my hand can also be on my hip, or I can just raise the hand towards the ceiling. Okay, we're trying to keep the hips forward, keeping the activation, really try to lift the hips up. If the hips are sinking like this, we're not getting a lot going on through the obliques. So just holding in the side plank position, I've got my hand on my hip. Remember, you can lift and reach up towards the ceiling. And we're going to do about 30 seconds here. So we've got 10 more seconds. Really try and lift the hips up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to try and go straight into our reverse plank. So try and just shift all the way around into the reverse plank. And then if you remember from previously in the series, we're trying to keep the glutes engaged, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pulling the shoulders back and down. And we're just holding here again for 30 seconds. Don't worry if you're not able to get that full retraction. Just try to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Try to keep the hips up high. So I was dropping down a bit there. We want to try and lift up the hips to get the activation through the core. 15 more seconds here. And as you might have guessed, we're going to go over to the other side. I'm going to spin around on the mat so you can see me, but on your own, you can just go over to the other side. So coming over onto your left hand in 3, 2, and 1. So we're coming back into the side plank. You've got one foot behind the other, or you can stack them. You can stack the feet on top of each other. Make sure the shoulder is over the wrist, glutes engaged, hip up nice and high. Keep the hips facing forwards, and we're just holding here. 30 seconds again. Really try and lift up the hips, get that activation into the obliques. It's going to give you a lot of stability, being strong there. 10 seconds. We're going to go into a full plank next. So you're just going to bring your hand over, so the right hand over, and come into a full plank position in 3, 2, and 1. We're coming into the full plank now. So again, we've got the shoulders over the wrists. We can grip into the floor with our toes, and then we can push into the floor, find what's called protraction, so separating the shoulder blades, and then we want to engage the glutes and almost create this contrast where we're kind of pushing up through the upper back and then driving down with the hips. Okay, we'll just do 20 seconds here because it's a little bit more challenging. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees to the floor, and then we're just going to drop back into a child's pose just to take a little rest. So in this child's pose, we've got the hips back and we're just relaxing in this position, allowing the head to drop to the floor, taking some deep breaths. And we're going to go again now, but in this sequence, we're going to start with a high plank, and then we're going to go into our side planks, and then we're going to finish in reverse. Okay, so let's come back into the high plank. Okay, so shift the shoulders over the wrists, and then feet onto the floor, lift the hips up, and then we're creating that contrast between pushing the floor away from you and then driving the hips down to the floor, trying to get that activation into the core. 20 seconds here. And I'm going to go over onto my left hand in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Into the side plank. Hand can go onto the hip. Hand can be extended up to the ceiling. Keep the glutes engaged. Keep the hips facing forward. Keep the hips up nice and high. 30 seconds here. This is a challenging sequence. Really try and lift the hips up high. If you're dumping here, you're not going to get that activation into the obliques. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. We're going to go into reverse plank. 2, 1. Coming into reverse. So into our reverse plank. Shoulders together. Should be more of a restful position for you for some. And yeah, we don't need to be fully retracted. If we can't find that, that's totally fine. So it's not a necessity, but it is a benefit because we're getting that extra shoulder mobility work. And we're doing 30 seconds here. 10 seconds. And then we're going to come over onto our right hand. I'm just going to flip around on the mat so I'm still in the frame. 3, 2, 1. Come over onto your right hand. And then we're into the side plank again. Remember, feet can be stacked on top of one another. And then we're pushing the floor. So push the floor away from you with the hand and then lift the hips up high. Keep the glutes engaged. And then keep the gaze forwards. Really try and lift up. And then we can either extend the arm or have the hand on the hip. 30 seconds here again. Really lift the hips up. And try not to allow the hips to open like this. We want to keep them forwards. 5 seconds. 5, 4. We're going to reverse plank. 3, 2, 1. Come into reverse. And then from here, we're just going to go straight down onto the floor, backs onto the floor, walk the feet up, and we're just going to rest in this position now, which we'll be familiar with. So we're with bent knees, and then we're trying to keep the lower back on the floor, taking deep breaths into the diaphragm. Good, we're going to do one more round. Okay, so we're going to do similar to what we did when we first started, starting in reverse, going to the 2 side planks, finishing in a high plank. Okay, so when you're ready, let's find our reverse plank. So feet on the floor, hands behind you, shoulders back and down if you can, not a necessity. Drive the hips up, that is a priority. We want to get the hips up high, glutes engaged. 30 seconds here. Really try and engage the glutes and tuck the hips in. Same sensation as trying to push the lower back into the floor. 10 seconds. And then we're going to go over to our right hand. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come over onto your right hand into the side plank. We've got the hand on the hip or the hand extended up to the ceiling, driving the hips up, push the floor away from you. And again, 30 seconds here. Really try and lift the hips up nice and high. Keep the glutes active, keep the hips facing forwards. We've got 10 seconds here. Keep it up, guys. I know this is hard. 4, 3, 2, back to reverse. 1, reverse plank. Good, holding here. We'll just do 10 seconds here because we're going to go over onto the left side in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come over onto your left. Feet can be stacked on top of one another, or you can have the right foot behind the left, hand on the hip, or extended. Push the floor away from you. Keep the hip up nice and high, glutes active, hips facing forwards. 30 seconds here. This will be our last side plank. Keep it up, guys. Really try and lift the hips up. Keep the hips forward. Try and find your breath here if you can. 10 seconds. Keep it up. I know this is challenging. This will be your hardest core sequence. 3, 2, 1 into high plank. Last high plank. Let's make it 30 seconds. Push the floor away from you and then drive the hips down with the glutes engaged. So we're creating that contrast between pushing the floor away from you, driving the hips down. Try and find your breath. Keep it up, guys. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Drop the knees down to the floor, drop the hips back, and just take a little moment to reset and find your breath. Nice. Cool. That concludes our core section. This was a very challenging sequence. So if you needed to take rest throughout, that's totally fine. This section is focused on the hamstrings. For this, you are going to need a wall, and we're going to start against the wall. So you can just come over to the wall, and you're going to use the wall for support. We're going to be going for dynamic kicks. So we're just trying to dynamically open up the hamstrings. So we are allowing the leg to come back a touch, and then we're going to kick forwards, trying to keep the leg nice and straight. And another thing to think about is try not to have the hip rotating out to the side as you go through these kicks. Try and keep everything nice and linear. Okay, so allowing the leg to come back and then kicking forwards. Okay, so nice and dynamically kicking up, trying to keep the leg nice and straight. And don't worry if your range isn't quite as much as mine, that's totally fine. Just really try and dynamically kick up. Keep that leg straight. 7. Okay. Really try and kick up. Allow the leg to come back to get that momentum to kick up. Nice. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. You might want to have the leg closer to the wall kicking, so you could flip round for the sake of the shot. I'm going to stay facing forwards, but I'm going to go with my left leg kicking up. And really try to avoid the hip rotating. It's going to want to rotate out to the side. Try and keep everything nice and linear. Okay. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, we're going to come back to the mat and we're going to go for some squat extensions. So you're going to come down into a squat, but you're allowing the heels to elevate and you're keeping the knees and the feet close to each other. Okay, so hopefully not too challenging of a squat position for you. Heels can be elevated, feet close together. From here, we're going to keep the hands on the floor and we're going to try and straighten the legs and then come back into the squat. Now don't worry if you can't fully straighten the leg, that's totally fine. Just work with whatever you've got. So hands on the floor, and then here, extending the legs, and then coming back down. Okay, so don't worry if you can't fully straighten the leg, that's totally fine. And we're allowing the heels to come down towards the floor as we straighten. So as we come in, we really want to allow the head to come in, and feel like you're pushing the floor away from you as you straighten the legs, so really push into the floor. Good. We're just going to hold in the top position. And then if you've got the range here, you can keep the hands on the floor. But if you need to, you can bring the hands onto the ankles. And if you need to go even less deep, then you can just bring the hands to the outside, sorry, the back of the knees. And then from here, we're just going to straighten one leg at a time. So we're going for these elephant walks where we're just extending one leg at a time. So as I mentioned, you might have the hands on the back of the knees, you might have the hands on the ankles, or you might have the flexibility to have the hands on the floor. And just straightening one leg at a time. So just getting deep into our fold here, and allow the head just to come in, ears between the shoulders. Totally fine if your hands are not on the floor. Just extending one leg at a time. Good. Okay, roll the spine up nice and slowly. So we're going into flexion, and then allow the chin to come up last. And then we're going to come back over to the wall and we're going to go through those dynamic kicks again. So hand onto the wall, and then I'm going to start with my right leg, allowing the leg to come back and then kicking forwards. So let's go for it. Leg comes back, kick forwards, keep the hips nice and square, facing forwards, leg nice and straight. do 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's go to the other side. So you might want to spin round. I'm going to stay facing forwards for the shot. So let's go on the left side. 1. And keep that leg nice and straight. Good. Let's do 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Coming back to the mat, we're going to go through the same sequence. So come down into that squat position with the feet close together, heels elevated to make the squat more accessible. And then we are going to try to extend both legs. And don't worry if you can't fully lock out here. We're just focusing on pushing the floor away from us, bringing the ears between the shoulders, and then coming back down. Really push the floor away from you, ears between the shoulders. And then we're just going to do one more. And then find a position where you can get close to extending the legs. So maybe I go for my hands behind my ankles, and then I'm just going to straighten one leg at a time. So if you remember from before, hands can be behind the knees, behind the ankles, or all the way down onto the floor. And we're allowing the upper body to be nice and heavy here. Going through these elephant walks. Good. Okay, we're going to come down to the floor, and then we're just going to extend the legs out in front of the body. And here we're going to allow for a soft bend in the knees. And then we're just going to hinge forwards. And you can have your hands by your knees, or if you can get them more towards your ankles. And then from here, we're just going to do the same thing, just extending one leg at a time. And try and find a position where you can get a nice stretch in the hamstrings as you do that. So it's almost like we're doing the elephant walks now in a seated position. So in order for me to get the stretch, I might need to go a little bit deeper with my hands by my ankles, or it might be too challenging and I need to come into more of an upright position. Okay, so you want to find a position where as you straighten that one leg, you start to feel a nice stretch through the hamstrings. Good, let's do 5 more on both sides. So that's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, so we're then going to go into a long lunge position. So to find this, you're going to step the right foot forwards and then just walk the left knee back as far as you can get it to the point where you start to feel a bit of a stretch through the top of the left thigh. From here, we want to find a nice upright position with the chest, and then gripping the toes into the floor, we're going to extend the left leg. So we're trying to straighten the left leg, and both of my hands are on my right knee. So I'm straightening that leg. And as I do this, I'm trying not to lift up with the torso. So I don't want to lift up as I extend the leg. I'm trying to stay nice and low so that I feel the stretch through the hips. Nice and upright with the chest. We'll just start by holding here and try and find your breath, breathing into your diaphragm. And also try and find a little bit of engagement through the glutes. Good, then we're going to drop the knee down to the floor and we're just going to extend the leg for a few reps. And as we do this, we're really trying not to lift up. So try and stay nice and low as you do this. We'll hold for about 3 seconds on each rep. Okay, so gripping the toes into the floor and try and stay nice and low as you straighten the back leg. 3, 2, 1, down. Good, and again, keep the chest upright. 3, 2, 1, down. Good, and again, 3, 2, 1, down. 2 more. 3, 2, 1. Try not to lift up with the upper body. We're trying to stay low. Last one. 3, 2, and 1. Good. We're going to work on the right side now with the glutes. So we're going to come into a pigeon. So to find a pigeon, just walk the right foot in and then drop the knee down to the floor. If this position is too challenging for you, you can just refine that 90-90 position that we've had earlier in the series. But we're going to try to find that full pigeon. So we're extending the left leg back behind us, and we're trying to sit right onto that front leg, keeping the chest upright. And then from here, we can either hold in this position if we're already getting a deep stretch through the glutes, or if you're ready to take this a bit further, we can just hinge forwards, but trying not to round with the spine. We can walk the hands forward, and then we're just going to hold here. So we're creating length in the right glute, getting that release. And just take some deep breaths in here. Good. Remember, you can be in a 90-90 here if you're not able to get into the pigeon. That's totally fine. Just folding forwards over the right leg in a 90-90. And we're really trying to keep the chest relatively upright. So we don't want to be curling in, and just holding here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Walk the hands up. We're then going to step back with the right leg. And then we're just going to bring the left leg forwards now, drop the back knee down to the floor. Just make sure that right knee is as far back as you can get it before we start. You're going to bring both hands onto the left leg. And then from here, we're nice and upright with the chest, gripping the toes into the floor. And then we're going to extend the right leg now. So straightening the right leg, trying to stay nice and low, keep the chest upright, getting that stretch through the upper thigh on the right leg, so through the hip flexors. And we want to try and find a bit of an activation through the glutes. So we don't want to be just collapsing into the spine. Try and be nice and engaged here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to go for the 5 reps. So drop the knee down to the floor. Try and stay nice and low as you extend. 3, 2, 1. And again. 3, 2, 1. Glutes on. And we're coming to 3, 3, 2, 1. And again, try and stay nice and upright, but not lifting up as you extend the leg. And then last one, try and stay nice and low. 3, 2, and 1. Good. We're then going to go into a pigeon now with the left leg. So step the foot in, drop the knee down to the floor, and then trying to keep the spine with a little bit of extension. And if you can, folding forwards, walking the hands forward. Remember, if you aren't comfortable in a pigeon, if this feels like a lot for you, just go back to that 90-90, which I showed before, and just folding over the left leg now. Trying not to round in with the spine, trying not to collapse with the spine. Taking some deep breaths in here. Good, keep this held. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, we're going to come back to the right leg into the pigeon, and we're just going to try and go for some folds now. So sitting into the pigeon, hands come to the outside of the right leg, and then from here we're just going to fold forwards and think about touching your chest to the right knee. So we don't want to come over to the left, we want to be more over to the right as we fold forwards over the right knee, okay? We'll go for 5 reps here. Again, if this is too hard, you can just do the same thing, but in a 90-90 position, so with the legs with 2 90-degree angles, as I've shown before, so here. But I'm going to demonstrate in the full pigeon, nice and upright with the chest, hands to the side, and we're just going to fold for 1, and come up, 2, 3. So I'm thinking about trying to touch my chest to the right knee. 4, and last one, 5. Good, let's go over to the other side. So step the left leg through, find that pigeon position. Try and find a nice upright position before you initiate with the folds. Keeping the chest upright, hinging from the hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one, 5. Good. Okay, let's come into a position where we're on the top of our feet And then if you're comfortable here, you're just going to sit back onto the top of your heels. Now, for some of you, you might not be comfortable here, and you can just elevate up a touch, and you could just hold there throughout the duration of the sequence. If you are comfortable here, we're just going to hold here and try and make sure your feet are nice and straight. So they might want to rotate inwards. Try and make sure your feet are nice and straight behind you, sitting onto your heels, and hopefully feeling a stretch along the front of the shin. Some of you are super comfortable here and you might not feel a lot, in which case you're just going to lean back, okay? So just holding here, just getting that initial stretch through the front of the lower limb, through the anterior tibialis muscle, and just holding here, breathing into your diaphragm. Good. We're then going to go into some lifts. So we can adjust our position. So for people who are particularly tight here, you can be more in an upright position here and lifting here. For people who have more range of motion here, you can lean back and lift off, okay? Let's go for a total of 10 reps. So I'm going to demo in this more advanced position, leaning back, and we're going to lift up, and we'll hold for about 2 seconds on each rep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you lift up, try and actively push the foot down into the floor. 8, 9, and last one, 10. Good. Bring the weight forwards, and then we're just going to grip the toes into the floor, and we're going to go into our toe stretch again, but now we're going to make this a little bit more dynamic. So from here, just come up into a squat with the feet together, and then keeping the hands on the floor, we're just going to drive the knees down to the floor and then back up again. So use support from the floor, drive the knees down to the floor, and then lift back up. Okay, let's do 10 reps here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. 9 and 10. Good. Let's just hold in our toe stretch again, just pushing back into, pushing the heels down into the floor, getting a nice stretch in the toes. And then we're going to come onto the top of our feet again, and we're just going to go through that stretch along the front of the lower limb. So remember, you can either be forwards or you can be back to make it more advanced and a deeper stretch into the front of the lower limb. And then from here, we'll just start with a hold actually. We'll just do 10-second hold before we go into those lift-offs. Just getting comfortable here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Okay, let's lift off one knee at a time. Remember, you're actively pressing the foot into the floor as you lift off with the leg. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. Good. Bring the weight forwards. Shift the weight into the toes. Curl the toes under. And then coming into that low squat position with the knees close together. And then going into that dynamic toe stretch sequence. So keeping the hands on the floor, driving the knees down to the floor for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your lower limb really should be burning quite a lot right now. 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. Good. Keep the toes curled under into the floor, and then we're just going to lean back and just hold for a little bit of a stretch again for 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, that concludes our section on the lower limb. Well done, runners. Hopefully you're feeling the benefits after today, feeling more mobile, more stable in your body, and hopefully this applies to your running. See you on the mat soon.